Yo, what is up, guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, the former trainer of Deontay Wilder, Mark Breland, has broke his silence following their split. Obviously, these two guys split after Deontay Wilder got stopped by Tyson Fury last year. Mark Breland conducted an interview with The Fight Is Right, and he said the following: Wilder's career is now over. I'm done, and he's done. I'm done with him. Wilder only has his power, and we'll see how far that takes him. That's all I'm going to say. I wish him well, and that's it. Mark Breland then went on to address the claim that he spiked Deontay Wilder's water, and he said the following: So many people know me. My character speaks for itself. If you're looking at tapes or whatever and stuff like that, you don't even see water in my hands. And regardless of that, I'm there to help you. My attitude is, when you win, I win. Mark Breland also touched on the conspiracy theories surrounding Tyson Fury's cheating allegations, and he said the following: If Fury did, I don't know, I doubt it very much, but at the same time, he's never going to beat Tyson Fury. JD's was standing right there when the man was getting his hands wrapped. If they put something in there, either JD's is blind or Jay is right there when he's getting his hands wrapped and he didn't say anything. But to be honest, that's how much he knows about boxing. Hell, he probably could have put a cast up in there and he wouldn't have known. So some scathing words there from Mark Breland in regards to JD's and his knowledge on boxing. Breland also elaborated or gave his opinion on Wilder's excuses. He said the following: Some people just can't take a loss. If you lose, you lose. Don't blame everybody. Go back and think about yourself. Come on now, only foolish people come out with stuff like that because it's crazy. In the interview, Mark Breland also gave the boxing world a look at Wilder's habits in the gym, and Mark Breland said the following: He don't jump rope, he doesn't hit the speed bag, he don't even hit the heavy bag. And he went on to say that Wilder doesn't even have a jab. And he goes on to say, to fight a guy like him, I would out-jab him. I don't think he'd even be able to touch me. I'd put him to sleep. The jab can bang that chin and put you down. If I boxed the guys he boxed, I'd beat them. That's the bottom line. You say he had some good wins. A good win, just that, Luis Ortiz, and that was it. Those are the words of Mark Breland, scathing in his response to all of the bullshit that Deontay's came out with in the past few months. And I think it's good that he's actually came out and, you know, given his own opinions on what's been said and just shared his mind with the world. I think it was definitely necessary for Mark Breland, you know, and because ultimately his name's been dragged through the mud over the last few months. And, you know, some of what he's been saying really doesn't surprise me. In particular, Wilder's training habits, not doing certain things and just relying on his power. I've said that for a long time now in regards to Deontay Wilder. The problem with Wilder has been he's had that puncher's arrogance where he always believes that one shot will bail him out, even if he's losing rounds. And we've heard that from Deontay Wilder's mouth himself. He was asked by a journalist after the second Luis Ortiz fight why he loses so many rounds, and basically Deontay said, it doesn't matter, I only need 1 second to win a fight. And, you know, that put Deontay in the mindset that he doesn't need to improve any of his other skills, and that his power would always be enough. But in the world of boxing, that's not always enough. Eventually you're going to get a guy who can negate that power. And obviously in February, that guy was Tyson Fury, and we saw how limited Deontay Wilder was in his approach to boxing. So yeah, that's the aspect of this interview I found most interesting, was Mark Breland sharing his thoughts, or giving an insight, in regards to Deontay's training regimens. And, you know, also his words in regards to JD's, basically insinuating JD's knows nothing about boxing. And he's kind of insinuating that JD's is a bit of a hanger-on. And I would imagine that Deontay has a lot of those guys around him, you know. Mark Breland is saying a lot in this interview in regards to Deontay's shortcomings and things he does wrong. And people may say, well, you were the trainer and you never addressed these issues. That's a fair point, I guess. But, you know, from what I'm kind of interpreting here, I would imagine that Mark Breland was always aware of his flaws in Deontay Wilder, and I'm sure he tried to get those across, But, Deontay being Deontay, extremely stubborn, extremely arrogant, and on top of that, having the hangers-on around him, I would imagine Mark Breland's advice just really fell on deaf ears. And, what really could Mark do? He could get him in shape and corner him on the night, but that's really all Mark could do. That's what I'm assuming. And he basically hung in the camp, to get his paydays. But I'm sure Mark Breland tried to address these technical issues with Wilder, but I'm imagining these concerns just fell on deaf ears. But it's good to see Mark Breland, say his piece on this whole situation, because like I said earlier, his name has been dragged through the mud in the past few months. And, putting to bed some of these ridiculous rumours on his side. And I think it was needed. So, big up to Mark Breland. I hope to see him back in boxing again. But this time maybe with a fighter who's more willing to learn and adapt as he, progresses in his pro career. But yeah, a scathing interview by Mark Breland. Criticising Wilder's resume, the excuses, his skill set. And I'm sure Mark, probably has been wanting to let this out for quite some time. I'm glad he said his piece, but what do you think? Do you believe Mark Breland is to blame for Deontay Wilder's shortcomings? I mean, Mark has actually laid them out in front of us right there. Lack of a jab, relying on his power, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Mark knows what the flaws were. Do you believe he could have done a better job in making Deontay a better fighter? Or like me, do you believe he had his hands tied behind his back due to the character which Deontay is, a guy who's not willing to learn and is far too arrogant to really take on board any advice? Anyway, share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Del Boy. Peace.